It's John Lee, J Smooth Studio.
Yeah, okay. So you see here, we're gonna do a low fade, but we're gonna section the top first before we start anything. One thing we have to do is address the crown. The crown is very important. This is where you can create cushions, right, for weight in this area, so you can create like shape. And so on this top area right here is this crown. It's very important to address this, like I said. You see how you come here, you see the scalp. See the crown, how it reacts. You want to section it according to how it naturally parts itself. So we see here, right? Just want to go back. This is gonna be on the back, and then we can just do something we call a radial. So radial is to separate the front and the back.
Radio.
Yep, it's called a radial section. And so now we see the hairline, not the hairline, the crown, where the hair grow naturally. Now this is where it lives. Everything that is from back here, it lives there. Everything that lives in front of that lives there. Now we try to find the recession area. The recession area, since he's wanting to do a low fade, I'm going to keep it fairly mid recession or so. Mid and high recession. I'm going to keep it here. So in a sense, it is disconnected. Okay, so now that we've got this parted, I don't need to use clip because it's already wet. It already forms my parting section, so just work clean. Now we can go in and work on the fade. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to visually see that I'm going to start my fade from mid recession right here, drop down to the, so all this is going to be debugged with like a 2 guard. So now we use a 2 all the way open just to debulk this area, because we know we're going to bald this out anyways, so we're going to keep this having some type of length so it can work contrast on fade. So now we're just going to debulk. And you notice I don't go all the way up here, because wherever this lives, it's a totally different area. That zone is different from this zone. If I were to go in and use the 2 to round it, right, it'll be way too high. That way it will create a very, very exaggerating disconnection. But because we leave weight here, it can blend in with the top. So we keep everything low, and make sure whenever you use whatever guard you're going to be using, whether it be a 3 guard or a 2 guard, it could even be a 1.5 guard. Just make sure you bevel it out. Instead of going all the way in, you kind of go up here. Where you want to stop at is when you create that bevel, and you kind of just bevel that out. And every time you bevel it out, you get the comb to come back down, just keeping a cleaner canvas.
Go ahead, use it. Go ahead.
So I'm just going to work on one side to the other. I'm just going to finish one side first and then work on the other one. for the sake of the video. And then now what I like to do is, let me finish. Now what I like to do is after I'm done with clippers, it'll create a bolt right here in this line, right? What I like to do is come in with my comb and my shears, and I'm going to break the guideline a little bit more exaggerated by doing scissor over comb, but not going too much length off. As long as it's elevated out up to here and you trim just a bit, you can soften that line. So that's what we're going to do, is just soften that line a little bit. I'm just going to come in and scissor over comb that line. So now you can see it's softened it a little bit more. Now you see here, very heavy. So once we go in and soften it, you'll see that it becomes a little bit more softer the more you blend. See? Now that we've established the blend, now we can go in and work on our balding line. This is going to be our balding line. So, like I said, we're going to start very low on the balding line. And start like right here. We're just going to create a guideline to secure ourselves with a cleaner fade, because the more cleaner you work, the more cleaner the fade will be. The same thing with painting a canvas. You want a clean canvas to work on. You're just going to create that line, and then you're just going to come in and bald out what's on the bottom of it. And so he says he wants to keep the beard pretty high and with a light fade. So I'm just going to take the balding line and do it like this right here. I'll bald that out. Now that we've got the balding line established, we can go ahead and use the clipper open, the no guard. So now we're just going to do about maybe like a little bit less than an inch of the guideline with the clipper open. Okay, so now we go in with the next guard, which is a one guard. So we're going to do the zero line, the balding line right here, and then this is the half, or the open clipper. The up here will be a 1, and you somehow get like a 2 open up there. And now we go in with one guard all the way open, kind of in that through. And also, everything is visual. So when you see something that doesn't seem like it needs to be cut, you don't have to take it off. Like if you want certain parts darker, you can always work with that. That'll make it your own signature, your own custom way of doing hair. Because you can always go back in detail. I'm gonna go in and close the clipper all the way with the one wire. Now we're just going to attack all of the dark lines that we see and to create that fade. We're just gonna tap it in. Yeah, so adjust your levers according to how you see density in their hair. Like maybe if a number one all the way closed doesn't work, you can probably just put a half guard and try to blend it through. So you remember how we got in with the two open? We're just gonna go back and clean it up with it open again, just to make sure everything's all even. And we're still continuing that beveling movement. Now we come back and just close the two guard all the way and just work our way a little bit below from where we were just working on with the two open. So now you can see the blend kind of just working its magic, doing what it's doing with the two closed. Now we've got that blend, we're gonna go a little bit extra and go with the 1.5, just to kind of clean it up a little bit more detailed. I'm just gonna go with the 1.5 close and just go below from where we did the two. Everything's clean. Alright, so now we go with no guard. We're just gonna freestyle it. Now we're just gonna blend the bottom line all of it without a guard. So now we're just gonna go with the clipper all the way closed with no guard. You just attack that bottom line. And if the line doesn't disappear, just go over it again until it does. And if it still doesn't, that's when you can use a trimmer, a T-liner, and just attack that bottom line. Now we're just gonna move the lever 2 notches up. And this is very important. So instead of attacking the line like we did before, now we're just tapping using the corners of our clippers. Whatever we see that has a lot of density, like for example, like right here, I can just attack it by just using the corner of the clipper and just tap it bit by bit, and it can, I guess, shatter the fade. I don't know how to explain it, but it just makes the blend a little bit more contrast. So you see this right here is a little bit more darker, right? I'll just notch that up a little bit, one notch, and just kind of visually attack that. It's okay to tell your client to move their head too, if it's okay. Yeah, just tilt your head like this. So if you tell your client to move your head, to tilt it a little bit more, you can kind of utilize the lighting and see the contrast and fade a little bit better. Versus if it was like this, the fade changes. So you want to make sure everything around 360, right, no matter what lighting it is going to have the same contrast. Now, this is not needed, but I'm extra. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna blend a little bit more using shears. So I use a blending shear just to kind of like detail it a little bit more better, a little bit more custom that clippers can't do. So you see here, if I were to use a clipper and just try to blend this, the length of it will be too short, so it'll create a dent. So what we want to do is utilize density so we can break it using shears that have teeth, you know, thinning shears. So you see here, right, what we can do is just come in and just visually just knock it down like this. And now you can create contrast. Like everything you have in your toolkit, they're there for a reason. You utilize it however way you want it. There's no rules to it, you can break the rules. Now that I like this, and then here, you can break it a little bit more too. Okay. And here I'm a little bit extra, like I said. The bottom line, it seems like it's blended, right? But I'm gonna go back in with the T-liner anyways, just to make it a little bit more crispy. And just kind of attack whatever I see that doesn't seem like it's blended. a little bit more pop more, we're gonna use the electric shaver, and it's gonna make it pop. I forgot that. Do you want the C, like the side right here, you want the C, or do you want to leave it natural?
Just leave it like that.
Natural?
Yeah.
Alright.
You think we could see?
It'll be really exaggerated. I like it. I think it's a C cut on the hairline. So this is very very important to determine where you want to establish your C cut. Like, so his hairline, it seems like it's coming down naturally like this. We just kind of have to visually see where it naturally wants to like do the C curvature. So I see it's kind of like right here. So what you're gonna do is just kind of tap it lightly and just kind of draw it like a pencil and just create this curvature line. And with like low fades, when you keep the C curvature line, like the C cup, darker here, when you use the T liner to create the line, or the C cup, you can see the fade pop a little bit more. I'm just gonna investigate with the mirror, make sure it looks good. Okay, so that's that. Alright, now we just start on this side. Yeah, okay. So we just do one side, record, and then let me finish this, we talk, you know, and then when I go to the... Alright, so now that we've established the fade, we've got done with the fade. This is the fade. Not done yet. We haven't done the beard yet. We're just gonna do the top of the hair. We're just gonna do a little trim. Maybe about an inch off, maybe less than that. But like I said, we're gonna section the hair again. So now we're just gonna do it there. So let's go over here real quick. We're gonna do what we did last time. I'm just trying to establish where the hair lives. We're gonna do something called a pivotal radial, where we pivot around the radial at 90 degrees.
That what they call radio?
Mm-hmm. Radial will be separating from front to back. Yeah. So now we're gonna do the back, and what we're gonna do is called a profile section on the back. We're going to do about like maybe an inch section so you can kind of work yourself cleanly. Okay, now this is the back. The cutting line. I'm gonna elevate it to 90 degrees. This. It's about 90. I'm just gonna cut a little bit off. Just gonna trim it. So we're gonna go in and point cut it through. You don't need to point cut. You can blunt cut if you want, but I prefer point cutting because it creates texture, and I like texture. Now that we got that, now we can go in with our pivots. Just kind of section this half there. We're going to do with our first pivot here. Go in. We just follow our guideline. It's kind of important to work cleanly. You can have like a clean canvas to work on. I'm going to do our last pivot here. We're just going to over direct it just a little bit. Mindfully just rotate.
Notice the way that he flipped his sear position.
Yeah. So the flipping the shears, that's just personal. You don't have to do that. I just got used to it. I don't even notice I do it sometimes. And then we just create another pivot from here. And then so on here, our finger angle is going to change. Our finger angle is going to be pointed down to the floor, following the guideline. Alright guys, like right there. Check length, make sure everything is even. Now we move on to the front of the radio. Let's add a little bit more water. Now we're going to work on the front of the radio. The radio on the front, I'm going to treat it as independent. I'm not going to follow the guide from the back. The back guide is already its own separate guide. So for the front of the radio, because he wants to keep it disconnected a little bit longer, we're going to separate it from the front and back. So since we're separating from the front and back, we're going to need like a separate guideline. And we're just going to do a profile section on the top to create a separate guideline that's different from the back. So this would be a profile section for the front radio. And what I'm going to do is establish a guide on the top. So we're just gonna take off. And you can kind of see like the previous cut too is going from short to long. I'm gonna follow that. We're gonna go short to long. So we're just gonna follow that short to long line, and I'm gonna point cut it through. Just kind of breezily, how would you say it? Just dust it through. Not cutting a whole lot off, we're just dusting some ends. We're just gonna go.
Swap.
Yeah, we're doing like at least an inch or so, but we're breaking up. It's gonna look like it's new hair anyways, because it's gonna be broken. You know, broken up like it's
Okay.
thinner. You can, but it's gonna knock off a lot of length.
Okay.
But we're not gonna knock off too much length. We're just gonna knock off about an inch or so. But we're doing it in a textured way. So that way, his hair, because his hair is naturally wavy, he wouldn't have to spend time styling it too much. And then we're just gonna follow that right there with vertical sections. Yep, now we're just gonna do the same thing, just on the other side. Now that we're done with layering, we're just gonna go with, what is this called again? This is called block layering. And we're just gonna start from the back. Move our way. This is not good. So when we cut like this, is to build weight for the hair.
Wave?
Weight, like heaviness. Because when you elevate it up to over 90 degrees, you're creating softer layers. And when you do it like this, when you have no elevation up to 90, like we're just doing like maybe at a 45 elevation, we're creating weight onto the hair. I think personally it just creates like better bounce, I guess. I don't know how to explain it. gonna dry. About detailing. Anytime you cut your hair dry.
What? Hold on. Repeat.
Anytime you cut your hair dry, it's all part of detailing. So when you cut your hair wet, it's to create shape. It's to build shape, build a foundation. But whenever you dry it, you can see how it lays naturally, and then you'll cut it dry according to how it lays. As you're blow drying the hair, determine what type of technique that you want to utilize cutting dry. So already instantly, me drying your hair, just seeing kind of like how the hair reacts after cutting wet, I can already tell that I would like to utilize a channeling cutting type of technique to kind of accentuate the flow of the hair.
It's good.
Watch. I'm gonna cut. So I'm gonna do something for you, bro. Like whenever we cut wet, right? It still looks long afterwards. That's why I do dry, because when you do dry, you can kind of detail where you want to cut the length off. I'll show you. Watch. Okay, so visually, you can kind of see that these lines, these movements, right? It wants to directionally flow forward, right? So what we're gonna do, this is like a magic trick, okay? What we're gonna do is we're going to, I guess, exaggerate the way it flows by channel cutting it through. See, as I go in my shears and just channel cut it through, and just push the hair forward like how it wants to. It creates a type of blend and movement to the hair. See? And now everything we do now is just dry cutting. We're just gonna come here and break this. Now everything that we're doing now is just visual. It's all just visual. Alright, so now we did the side, now we're gonna dry cut and detail the top part. So we're gonna come here, Sean. So you see how you see it moving forward, right? We're just gonna exaggerate like we did here. Watch this magic trick, Barber. It's kind of like giving the hair a diet program, like it's losing weight. Same body, but you know, a lot of weight had just been removed. So now we can customize it and kind of visually see how much length to take off. This is the front, I just take off just a bit. Slice cutting.
This is called slice.
Yeah, this is called slice cutting. What it does is it just breaks up the hair into a more texture. It doesn't necessarily soften the ends. It just makes it how do I explain it? It's like a little bit more texture to create movement. And some areas that seems like it's really, really, really heavy, you can go in and deep point cut it. Very deep, man. Yeah.
Bonito.
Yeah, hold on one second. Let me style the hair first. I'm gonna do the beard. This hair, not many people probably do it. It's up to you if you do it that way. But me personally, I like to do it this way because his hair is naturally wavy. I don't want to like dampen the hair with crazy products. I just want to do light product, and how we're gonna utilize styling his hair is just kind of lightly glaze over it, not going into the scalp too much. Just kind of do this kind of movement like this. Just kind of lightly glaze over it. I would like to put this there. Just finish it with spray. On the video is crazy, dude. Alright, so